beautiful people. Welcome back to our Love Talk and Confidence series on QueenConvos. Today, we are talking about a comment that most of us have all heard. If he wanted to, he would do it. So we're talking about that today. Before we get started, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to follow us on IG and TikTok at QueenConvos. I'm your host, Saria.
And I'm Kara.
So let's get started. Kara, what are your thoughts on this topic?
I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. If he wanted to, he would. Okay. It's like one of those. That's the face I make every time I hear someone say it, or every time I see it on a TikTok video, which I don't go on that much, but all these relationship coaches and gurus, or the girls posting about it. If he wanted to, he would. No, not in my game, not in my book. No. Okay. There's so many things wrong with that. All right, let me start here. So I'm gonna give the guys a break for a second. Because I feel bad for them in a way when they keep getting these all the girls posting the stuff about breakups and I'm going to be stronger and I'm going to come back so much better. And it's just so attention seeking and I just can't so I'm sorry, men, but that does not give you an excuse to be an asshole. And it does not give you an excuse to treat women like dogs or whatever you want to treat them like. You should be treating them as queens. Okay. That's how it is. But anyway, so I think it's just overplayed. It's just overplayed and one of those things that makes you think that you have no control over the situation and that you have to change yourself in order to get the guy or get him to change his mind or manipulate him.
So my thoughts on that whole comment, if he wanted to, he would, it gives too much credit, authority, status to what the guy's doing. Why do you care? Yes. Why do you care? I'm at his mercy as to whether he does A, B, or C. Find somebody else to do it. I'm not trying to simplify it to that point, but it's that's exactly what that whole comment is. And it's just if someone has said that to me in the past, now people don't say stuff like that to me, but if someone had said something like that to me in the past, to me, I took it offensively because it's just do you think my world revolves around me waiting for him to do A, B, and C for me? Do you realize what I'm capable of doing myself? And the fact that there are a million other people, I think there's 3.8 billion men on the face of this earth. I'm not trying to diminish someone or, a guy or whatnot, but I just feel why do you care so much? If they're not doing A, B, and C, find someone that will do it. And the thing is, when you stop focusing on them doing A, B, and C, that's typically when they start doing it. I really want you to think about some of the people in your past that you may have really case in point. There was this guy in middle school. I saw the moon and stars when I saw him. I was so in love with this guy from 7th to 8th grade. I got to high school. There were upperclassmen, and that's what I was focused on at that point. And it was the minute that I did not want this guy anymore, he was just after me all the time at my locker, asking me to go to the homecoming dance, to go out and whatnot. At that point, I didn't care anymore. And I think most of us have experiences like that. So going back to the statement, if he wanted to do it, he would. Okay, he doesn't want to do it now, but trust and believe, when I stop focusing on this situation, there's going to come a day when he's going to want to do that and more. And that's how you have to look at things. Change your perspective on it. Stop giving him so much authority over what he does or does not do and how that validates who you are, what's going on in your life. And don't allow other people to say stuff like that over you either.
Right. I think a lot of the relationship people, because I ran into this, it's part of those like workbooks, right? If he wanted to, he would contact you. If he wanted to see you, he would be all up in your shit. If he wanted to, when a guy is interested, he's interested. And it's like, okay, but again, that is giving the guy all of the decision making, and you're giving him all the power and control. And it's like, now you feel like you don't have any control over anything. And you got to learn how to get that essence back, I think. Right. Take ownership of it and not always relying on, someone to text you all the time or call you all the time or spend time with you all the time, because they're a person and they want their alone time. It's not just an introvert extrovert type situation. But I think that that's one of those things. And also I think that once you change your self-concept to be one of those people that naturally magnetizes anyone and everyone to them, you don't have to worry about that.
No, you don't.
And that, right? And coming from there, now you have the power. And again, it's not like you're manipulating anyone. It's just you're exuding this vibe that people are just they want to be a part of it. They are magnetized to it, and it's not like needy. It's like they want what you have. They want to be in your space. They want to be around you. But I think that that saying, if he wanted to, he would, can hurt a lot, because then you're like, well, what am I doing wrong? Like and then you're like thinking about every last little thing that you did. Like, did I say something weird in a text? Like, was my tone in the last phone call? When we went out, like, what did I not look good enough, or did I not? And then you start shitting on yourself, and then you're literally just questioning everything you do. So then you try to change yourself. You're like, okay, I can't be like that anymore. And it's just a disaster. So I really just cannot stand that whole thing. And I think that, of course, if he wanted to, he would. But I get where they're coming from when they say that. But I think you should just ignore that. That would be my advice. Just ignore that and do you. And then he will want to.
Right.
And then you won't even have to worry about it.
And here's another thought, an affirmation, a thought for when someone says that to you. Just say, I chose him and I can unchoose him also. And you leave it at that. And you know what? That should actually be your mentality too. Mm-hmm. Because if you sit with that mentality, it's going to shape how you act towards stuff like that. And
right, you're not clinging onto it.
Right. And what you accept and you don't accept. When you realize I chose you and I can unchoose you, that gives you your authority back.
Right.
Okay. The other part of this topic is being happy all the time and being positive all the time. A lot of people feel like in a relationship and dating, everything is supposed to be happy-go-lucky. And you also have people and I don't know if you've noticed this, Kara, but you have situations where you have so-called friends, and it's almost like they ask you about sore points in your relationship. And sometimes you almost feel like they're asking you as a dig because they know it's a sore spot for you.
Yep.
And then you start thinking about it and you start spiraling, and then you start having negative thoughts about the situation or person or whatnot. But here's the thing. Everything in relationships are not perfect. You're going to fight with people sometime. You're going to not like a person sometime. Even when you get married, there are going to be times that you probably won't like your spouse. At the end of the day, though, that doesn't mean that the situation is over. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the situation. It means that you're just not happy all the time, or you're not positive about something all the time. So I think, number one, understanding that you don't have to be positive all the time for things to work out in your favor, whether you're in a relationship with someone or you're trying to get into a relationship with someone. Everything might not be positive or the way that you want it all the time. That doesn't imply that you're not going to have it, though, or experience it in the way that you want. That's the first thing. Number two, it's okay if you get pissed off sometime. You don't always have to be happy. Sometimes, I'm going to be honest, when I get upset, when I get pissed off, that's actually when I get the stuff that I want. Because I don't know, maybe I'm more passionate about it, or I am more serious or on top of it. But sometimes it takes me getting upset to drive what I need to do to get what I want. So just because you have a negative circumstance here or there, don't take that as a sign that stuff is not working out in your favor, that you're not going to have what you want. Use that as leverage.
That's exactly what you want to do when you have a negative circumstance, is you want to use that as your opportunity to flip it. That means, make it mean that you're getting what you want. Make it mean that. Stop dwelling on it and keep replaying it in your mind, because what you're doing is you're reaffirming it in your brain. So you're telling your brain, this is what happens, and this is, I'm focusing on it, so I want more of it. So you get more of it and more of it and more of it. And then you go, well, it's true, it keeps happening. Yeah, because you told yourself over and over and over again, you don't stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it. Change it. Literally, you have to replace your old thought patterns with new ones. It's like taking one out and putting a new one in. You can't just take it out and not put anything else there. You can't just keep adding and not taking this thing out. You have to take it out and replace it with a new one, with something that is new and happy, and whatever you think is happy. So like something negative just to one person might not seem negative to you. Being positive and happy all the time, no, that is not okay. Yeah, it makes you feel better and it makes you perpetuate more and more happy in your life. But we're human. You don't have to be positive and happy all the time and joyous and abundant and in the lolly la 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 land, like with your head in the sand, head in the clouds. Like you can't live that way, okay? Number one, because if you don't experience the negative or the contrast, then you won't know what you don't like and what you do like. So you have to experience those things. But once you take your focus out, once you define what you don't like, then you focus on what you do like and what you do want more of and more of and more of. But this whole being positive all the time, and that's the only way that you're going to get what you want, it's not the case, because it's just kind of impossible. I mean, unless you're like a Buddhist monk but even then I don't think they are, but or you're just on drugs, it's that's the only way that you could constantly be happy and positive all the time. And actually
I don't
It
even
can be
think that
annoying.
the time.
It can be annoying to some people, right? Like, okay, here comes happy-go-lucky Kara. Like, especially to the people that are just not in a good mood, you know? But like, so don't force yourself to do that. If you can't get there right now and just be like happy steadily, that's okay. I mean, it's probably not a good thing if you are, because it means you're on drugs or you're not doing something. I don't know. You're human. Give yourself a break every now and then, okay? Like, but to that, it's a lot easier to be positive about a situation when it's like someone else's situation, right? Like if your friend comes to you with an issue and you're like, oh, well, just think about it this way. And they're like, why are you so positive about this? Like, it's so much easier to think that way when you're thinking it for somebody else. So again, with the whole advice thing of like, give yourself your own advice. What would you do? And you might not be able to get there right away, but eventually you will. But you don't want to be continuously thinking negative thoughts, or when I say negative, I mean like things that don't serve you. So however you define that is what would be a negative thing that you keep telling yourself. Like, oh, I never get the winning lotto ticket, or that would never happen to me. That only happens to pretty people, or that only happens to like assholes, or you know what I mean? Like those things that you always tell yourself. Notice those, pay attention to those, become aware of what you're saying to yourself, because more often than not, it is your dominant thought. And that's what's showing up in your life, because it's your dominant thoughts that create. So that's what's going to keep happening. The more and more you think that way, those negative things, or the things that don't serve you. So when you notice those, just change it. Take it out and put a new one in. Like literally go the opposite. Take it out and put a new one in, like a lobotomy. And I'm telling you it works. I'm telling you it works, because you will start to, if you keep doing it, your brain will believe it. Okay. It's like that habit. You have to create the habit. You affirm it, say it, say it, say it, say it, say it. You don't have to believe it when you're saying it at first, because more often than not, you're not going to. But you just keep saying it and saying it and saying it. Write it down, look at it, say it. Whenever you think that negative thing or the thing that you don't want to think anymore, make a new story, write a new thought, and keep focusing on that. And then eventually you won't have to write it down and say it all the time, because it'll just become natural. It'll become your natural new dominant thought. And then your world will just start to change and everything will start to shift. And you'll be like, wow, I'm so glad I listened to Saria and Kara and I caught that relationship love talk thing on Valentine's Day, because I was feeling so sad about myself. Remember when I felt so sad about myself? Oh yeah, that was such a long time ago. Wow, I've come so far. So save the video and come back to it and comment on it and tell us how it's changed your life.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on TikTok and IG at QueenConvos. And if you would like your question featured in a future video, please send us a DM or comment below. Until next time,
stay classy
and sassy.